Welcome in episode 197, What's Right with Nick Wright. And this episode is brought to you by the McDonald's app. I love the McDonald's app, particularly for McDelivery. I love it because it's perfect for any situation. It's pouring rain. You don't want to go out to go get your McDouble. McDelivery. Your team's playing. You don't want to miss a single second. McDelivery. It's been a long day. Well, better way to fix that than getting a delicious double quarter pounder with cheese and a large fry delivered right to your door with McDelivery. I personally love McDelivery when I'm watching a game, spending time with my family, maybe doing both. And now every time you order McDelivery in the McDonald's app, it earns you points towards free food. Who doesn't like free food? Everybody likes free food. Come on. So there's always a reason to order in the McDonald's app. Download McDonald's app today. At participating McDonald's, delivery prices may be higher than at restaurants. Delivery and other fees may apply. Copyright 2023 McDonald's. All right. Big show. Big day. It's our gambling show. 4-1 last week. Even though we didn't do a gambling show, I posted the picks to Twitter before the kickoff of the Thanksgiving games. Won the first 4 games with great ease. Had an 8.5-point dog. They won outright. We'll go through that later. Damonza's teaser looked great until the last leg, which is progress. And so Damonza, great. The teaser you posted, the Thanksgiving Day teaser that you posted for the audience. What? You look confused. Yeah, you did. Yes, you're sitting right next to me. You posted a teaser for the 3 Thanksgiving games, and then Seattle screwed you because they got blown out. You didn't actually bet that teaser. The bets you made on Thanksgiving lost as well, but you didn't post those. Speaking of gambling, sorry, pal. Speaking of gambling. Oh, such a satisfying gambling moment for me yesterday. So, I played in my weekly poker game and actually crushed. Shout out to Chip Bully. Shout out, by the way, to my guy, Chip Bully, my guy Joe Black, who, no, it's public knowledge. He doesn't mind me saying this. He went down to Florida this weekend. Played in a massive, the WPT 1,500 person tournament, $3,500 to enter. Came in 20th place. Yeah, he shipped. I mean, according to the website, shipped over like 30 grand. Like, shout out to him. First place was almost $1 million, and the guy who knocked him out in 20th ended up winning the whole thing. But coming in 20th in a 1,500 person World Poker Tour event. But that's not the gambling story. I played poker, and did well. But that's, again, not the gambling story. The gambling story is that before the poker game, we had our Fox bowling party. The bosses are there, both Carton show and my show. And Wilds fancies himself quite the bowler. He has a little fancy form. He does a whole thing. And I do not. I'm objectively a bad bowler. So I did the oldest trick in the book. The old, it's just a hustle. And it was such a multi-layered, brilliant hustle. And the fact that I did it to Wilds was so glorious. So first match, I'm like, Wilds, lay me 48 pens. So your score minus 48 to 47.5. And he was like, I'm not laying you 48 pens, blah, 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 blah. And so we play, and he beats me by 50, and we have nothing on it. I'm like, all right. And Wilds, by the way, does not like gambling, and if he does, it's like for $5 or $10. So I went to him, and I was like, all right, how about this? Lay me 34.5 for $100. He's like, I'm not betting $100, but I knew he wasn't betting $100. But once you throw out 100, all of a sudden 50 sounds reasonable. And once you throw out 47.5 is what you need to be laid, and you lose by 50, 34.5 sounds like a deal. And I got Wilds to take the bet. Easiest money I ever made in my life. Easiest money I ever made in my life. I mean, he beat me by 20 pins, but it doesn't matter. He had to beat me by 35 pins, and it was $50. And I've never had a more satisfying gambling victory than, hold on, let me find the rest of it, than this crisp 20-10, courtesy of Kevin Wilds. Just like an old school pool hustler, just making someone think you're bad, getting them overconfident. And I am bad, by the way, but 35 pins is a lot. All right, Damonza, let's get to the actual show. Here's what missed the cut. LeBron gets his first tech for flopping. I assume it was unfair. Jimmy Butler files a trademark for Emo Jimbo. And What's Right in Spotify Wrapped. Shout out to all the people who we were a big part of their year in Spotify Wrapped. I appreciate each and every one of you. There's Michael Sintz and Ryan Fuge, if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize, for a couple of people that tweeted about it. All right, Damonza, let's get to the actual show. Go ahead.
Yo, so Tyreek Hill had a spicy quote, or a spicy take, should we say, talking about his current Dolphins team. Here's what he said. I feel like this is probably the better team than when we won a Super Bowl back when I was on Kansas City. So Tyreek Hill's about to break the receiving record, or maybe, but he can't seem to keep the Chiefs' names out of his mouth. By the way, I always see this as like blatant Mahomes disrespect. But who misses who more between Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs?
I mean, that's not even quite like. Here's the thing. Unique take here. I don't think either misses either. I think that it actually worked out really well for all parties. Now, we'll get to the Mahomes disrespect part in a moment, because I understand what you're saying, but I look at it a little bit differently. But Tyreek already has a ring. By going to Kansas City, or by going to Miami, pardon me, he was able to check off the following boxes. Make way more money than he was going to make in Kansas City. Still continue to produce at a Hall of Fame level, and his production actually went up a touch, and you could argue it's for a lot of people it's more impressive now. It's not like, well, you're a great player, but you have the best quarterback in the league. Everybody believes he is the engine that makes that team go. And so he got all of those things, and he gets to live in Miami, which for Tyreek Hill is probably better than living in Kansas City. Like, and that's no disrespect against my hometown, but particularly, everyone wouldn't choose Miami over Kansas City, depending on the environment you want to be in or how much you value the weather, whatever it is. But I think for Tyreek Hill, it's perfect. The Chiefs, on the other hand, have so many resources poured into the offense to be able to use Tyreek Hill to get Trent McDuffie, to free up salary cap space, to build this young, dominant defense, and win the Super Bowl with the first year without him. And if anybody, not that there were a lot of questions about Mahomes, but if there were, the questions were only, well, he has Tyreek Hill and Andy Reid, and that, like, what would he be like if he didn't have all these weapons? And his first year without him, wins the MVP, highest scoring team in the league, scores 38 in the Super Bowl, answers all those questions. So for right now, I think it is a win-win. I don't think it's going to feel that way in a year or so, because I don't think Tyreek's going to have these monster postseason moments, and I think he's going to miss that to a degree. So I think Miami is a good, not great team. I think Miami is a team that is not, as it's currently constituted, built to go on a deep playoff run. And Tyreek Hill was building the resume of one of the greatest playoff performers ever. And now, last year, obviously, Skylar Thompson was their quarterback for the one playoff game. So what are you going to do? But even this year, the Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl, and Tyreek Hill is home by the divisional round. Then I think there'll be a little angst, if you will. But right now, I think it's worked out great for both parties. And listen, I love Tyreek Hill, the player. He's one of the greatest players, not only in Chiefs history, but he's one of the greatest players ever. I don't think that's an overstatement. I think that he is building the case that he should be in the discussion as the third greatest receiver ever. He's not there yet, but he's building the case that after Jerry and Randy, it could be Tyreek Hill. What were you going to say, Damonza? Go ahead. Sorry.
Nothing. No, the pictures are cute. Do you want me to ask this next follow-up?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Oh, wait. Before you ask the follow-up, you said something about Mahomes.
I don't think it's disrespect.
Mahomes disrespect. I think it's really, he has been, and I give him credit for this, man. Since he got there, I think he's been trying to build up Tua. He has said some over-the-top things, throws the prettiest ball, is most accurate, all these things. If we remember when Tyreek got there there were real questions about whether, I mean, the Dolphins tried to get Deshaun Watson. They were in the Aaron Rodgers discussions. They, a year before, or I'm sorry, not the Aaron Rodgers discussion, pardon me, the Russell Wilson discussion. And they lost a draft pick tampering, trying to get Tom Brady. So Tua was on shaky ground, and Tyreek really helped build him up. So I don't have a problem with any of that. But all right, go ahead with the
The 2019 Chiefs were 7-4 heading into December. Miami's 8-3. So should this be taken as a warning to the rest of the league? Is what Tyreek Hill is saying is kind of true?
I understand what he's saying, and there were similarities in that was a bend, don't break Chiefs defense that just got some big stops. It wasn't a great defense. They had this dynamic offense, all of those things. The distinction is the Chiefs knew unequivocally that the postseason, they're even in 2019, they already knew that Mahomes was an elite postseason performer because they had seen him in 2018 win his first playoff game ever and then have three separate second half comebacks against Tom Brady and the Patriots in an all-time performance by him, and then lose in overtime without touching the ball, which we only talk about when it happens to poor Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Probably cost the Chiefs Super Bowl that year. They didn't change any rules for us. But set that aside. Tua's never played in a playoff game. And that is, man, that is the other thing about these NFL playoffs that is just bananas. Right now, if the playoff picture holds, okay, I'm going to go team by team, and I'm going to do this off the top of my head, but I think I'm going to have it right. Quarterback playoff experience, okay? Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes has played 14 playoff games, has won 11, okay? Lamar Jackson, 4 playoff games total, 1 victory. Trevor Lawrence, 2 playoff games total, 1 victory. Tua Tagovailoa has never played in the playoffs. Kenny Pickett has never played in the playoffs. Dorian Thompson-Robinson for Cleveland has never played in the playoffs. Gardner Minshew for the Colts. Has Gardner... Did Gardner play... this one I got to look up. Did Gardner play in the playoffs like as a backup one? Like come into a game? No, he didn't. So... right now, as the bracket is, every other starting quarterback in the AFC combined has 2 playoff victories, and then there's Mahomes with 11. And by the way, you go to the NFC, it's different, but it's still Jalen Hurts is, what is Jalen in the playoffs? Jalen Hurts is 2-2 in the playoffs. Brock Purdy is 2-1, and the 1 you can put an asterisk on if you want. Like he got knocked out of that game like instantly.
We're putting it there.
Jared Goff. What is Goff in the playoffs? Is he 4-2? Let me. I gotta look at that because Goff obviously had all those playoff games with Detroit. So Goff as a starter is 2-3. But he came in to a game that they ended up losing. But Goff as a starter is 2-3 in the postseason. Really, only 2 wins? Yeah, I guess they had a bye and went to the Super Bowl, so that makes sense. Obviously, Desmond Ritter's never been in the postseason. Dak Prescott's 2-4. Geno's 0-0, and Josh Dobbs is 0-0. So Mahomes right now. Does Mahomes have more playoff victories than every other quarterback combined? That would make the postseason.
Just at that.
I mean, that's bananas. And in the end, the guys with some experience are all on the NFC side of things. So that is an element for this postseason. Oddly, this all changes if Cleveland sticks with Flacco. Flacco's got a lot of playoff experience, but he also hasn't played football in a year, and he hasn't played good football in 6 years. All right, next.
All right, the Cowboys have been making easy work of all the light teams. They play a falling Seattle tonight. Dak has cleaned up his game a lot, but Seattle's defense is forced to turnover in 6 of their last 7 games. Are you worried that this is going to be a trap game for Dak Prescott?
No, I don't. I also wonder, typically Thursday night games are sloppy games. I wonder how much that changes by the fact that both of these teams played last Thursday, so both of these teams are on regular rest. One of the reasons Thursday night games are bad is because teams played on Sunday, they didn't play on Thursday, they don't have a full week of practice, they're beat up, all those things. But these teams all played Thursday. Or both these teams played Thursday. So it's a regular week, just the days are different.
Teams kind of like really need this win, I feel like.
For very different reasons. But that's 100% correct. Seattle could fall out of the playoffs, man. I thought Seattle was pretty well locked as a wild card. But Seattle, all of a sudden, that Rams loss, that 1-point Rams loss, is such a killer for them. After this Cowboys game, Damonza, their next two are Niners-Eagles. So if they lose tonight, a 5-game losing streak is absolutely on the table, and all of a sudden a team that was 6-3 can be 6-8. And the other reason that Rams loss is so devastating is the Rams are one of the teams chasing them for a wild card spot. If they finish with the same record, the Rams go because, you know what I'm saying? I'm an idiot. They play the Rams again they lost the Rams twice this year because they played them week 1. So I'm right about that. If they finish with the same record as the Rams go to the playoffs. They don't. So this could go left on Seattle in a big way. For the Cowboys, if you don't think the Cowboys can catch Philly, then this game's really not that important. They're just going to be the 5 seed. Whether they win 10 games or 13 games, if they're not going to win the division, they're the 5 seed. The real question is, can Dallas catch Philly? But that is trickier than it sounds. Because here's the deal on that. Dallas, in order to pass Philly, because Dallas has 3 conference losses, unless you assume that Philly is going to gag a game against the Giants, which they're not going to. Not only do they have to beat them, Damonza, they have to finish with a better record. Dallas is not going to, if they both finish 14-3, if Dallas runs the table and finishes with the same record as Philly, Philly wins on conference record tiebreaker. So that Philly right now has 0 conference losses. Dallas, all of their losses are conference losses. So the first tiebreaker is head-to-head. If Dallas beats Philly in a week and a half, that'll be split. The second record is divisional record. Unless you think the Giants are going to steal one from Philly, which they're not, they're both going to finish the year 5-1 in the division if Dallas beats them. So that's tied. The next tiebreaker is conference record, and Philly is not going to have 3 conference losses. And if they were to have 3 conference losses, they're not going to be tied with Dallas anyway. Point I'm making is, if Dallas runs the table, for Dallas to win the division, the following things I believe have to happen. They have to run the table. Philly has to lose this week to San Francisco and obviously next week to Dallas. And Philly has to lose one of their final 4 games, which are at Seattle, home for the Giants, home for the Cardinals, at the Giants.
Do you think there's a chance that the Eagles do that? We've got it locked up. We're going to rest Jalen Hurts and our starters and ready for the postseason?
Well, yes, I do. I also, this is my annual Galaxy Brain plea, and this doesn't typically, you don't usually even have this opportunity. And Philly, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Philly beats the Niners this week and beats Dallas. They do both of those things, they could absolutely have the 1 seed locked up after their 15th game. In that very unique scenario, I've always thought the smarter thing would be to rest players in your second to last game. And then play guys in your last game, because you're going to have a bye anyway. And all of a sudden, if you have the 1 seed locked up and you rest guys in your final week of the year, then all of a sudden you go 3 weeks without playing a game, and there's, to me, a real risk of roster something there. If you have the opportunity to rest guys with 2 games left, I wouldn't rest them for both, but I would do it in week 17, not week 18. I don't think, though, this is going to, well, let me rephrase it. If Philly beats the Niners, they could lock this up. With Detroit's bad loss, the Niners would then have 4 losses. Philly would have the head-to-head against San Francisco. I'm hoping we get some late season intrigue. I don't know if we will. In the AFC, I think it will be hard for the Chiefs to lock up the 1 seed early because they have the 3 losses, same as Baltimore, same as Jacksonville, same as Miami. And even though they're going to have the tiebreaker against all 3 of those teams, I don't see there being massive separation. All right, next.
49ers are heading to Philly for America's Game of the Week and an NFC Championship rematch. Last year, obviously, Brock Purdy got injured at the beginning of the game. Christian McCaffrey ended up being quarterback at one point, actually. But maybe if Brock Purdy would have finished that game, you would have given him credit this year. So if he wins that game, if he goes and he beats the Eagles, will you finally give him his credit, or will you need to see more in the postseason?
So again, guys, this
if he's trailing to the Eagles,
folks,
then
just
you'll
keep
give him
asking me the same. First of all, I do not feel, and I hate to be a broken record on this. We are on First Things First. We are promoting this football game, America's Game of the Week. Going to be one of the most watched games of the year. Do you know what I'm going to say, Damonza?
Yes, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Okay. So on TV, when we have a big football game, they show you the games that are being played, and then the marquee game on the list, like here's the 1 o'clock games, here's the 4 o'clock games, America's Game of the Week, Niners, Eagles. And whenever we have that, like tonight, Amazon, if they're running promos, you're going to see Dak and Geno. And when the other, last week when it was Jags-Texans, you saw Trevor and C.J. Stroud. And it's like, these are the stars. Come watch them. For the Niners game, Niners-Eagles, it's Jalen Hurts on one side of the graphic and Christian McCaffrey on the other. And you can say, Nick, that's ridiculous. You're being unfair. That's it is a data point that even the graphics producers like, hey, who's the star of the Niners? Who's the what's the? We almost always put quarterbacks
graphic over Patrick Mahomes.
Never.
I bet you
I'm telling you that's correct. I'm telling you maybe a Taylor Swift related one. I'm telling you when we promote Giants games last year, and it was Saquon or Daniel Jones, they would put Daniel Jones on the graphic. You know why? Tie goes to the quarterback. But this ain't a tie. So the point I'm trying to make is we would put these graphics up and talk about Jalen Hurts and Christian McCaffrey are the stars. And then the question we would ask on the TV show is Brock Purdy the MVP of the entire league? Me not wanting a guy who can't even make the sizzle reel graphic for his team.
So if he wins this game versus Philly, maybe they'll put him on the graphic next time. Question is, if he goes out there and he beats Philly, are you then going to give him credit? Because Philly is clearly a good team.
I've already given him credit, and I don't doubt that he can beat good teams. That's the other thing. People are making my Brock Purdy critique into what they want it to be, because my Brock Purdy critique was so 100% spot on that now people are trying to straw man against it. They're like, well, will you at least say he doesn't suck? I don't think he sucks. Well, will you admit he can beat good teams? Never said they can't beat good teams. Nope. My Brock Purdy critique is very, very simple. I question his ability to play at a high level if all of the Avengers are not there with him, and I question his ability to play at a high level if the Niners are trailing and the defense is not first and foremost worried about Christian McCaffrey. They are worried about him throwing. That's what I question. And unfortunately for him, He has had 3 games this year where those circumstances have popped up, and he's 0 for 3. I do not question his ability to play great early in games against just about anyone. He rolled Dallas. That was impressive. It didn't answer. If I'm running out of analogies to make for these things. It's like if my worry about if when Damonza moved to LA, I was like, man, I'm really worried about him. And I wasn't. I'm just going to, I don't want to use another car analogy. I'm really worried about him Monday mornings oversleeping for work. And then Thursday, he calls me. It's like, oh, you still worried? I got in on time today. I'm like, I wasn't worried about Thursdays. I was worried about Mondays. And then in Sunday, he's like, hey, in the office doing extra work. You still worried about me? I was like, I wasn't worried about you not doing extra work. I was worried about a very specific thing. And then if the first Monday he's got to be there early, he oversleeps. And the second time he oversleeps. And the third time he oversleeps. But then he doesn't have to be in early Monday again for 6 weeks. Like, oh, you still worried about that old shit? Yeah, I am. Because the 3 times you had the opportunity, you failed. Like, that's just where we're at.
Wait.
So I don't know what people want from me.
It's going to be, I think the weather's going to be bad in Philly. I think it's going to be raining, windy, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I know other quarterbacks in the league struggle to play in the rain. It's hard, like keep control of the ball and stuff like that. Does that add any extra incentive?
Well, I think that's the only thing that the weather, sloppy games typically, if you're an underdog, you would rather the conditions. Trevor does, by the way. That's a fair indictment of him. Trevor does. One other thing. I don't even want to talk about the weather. I don't care. We'll see. Like, if you are a sizable underdog, you want bad conditions because it adds variance. Neither one of these teams are a sizable underdog. They're both, you know what I mean, hard-nosed teams. I think if either of these teams' pass rush doesn't get home, they're in trouble. Because the Niners secondary with Hufanga injured can get got, and we know the Eagles secondary can get got all year by just about anybody. What I do want to say is, for folks thinking that I'm picking on Brock Purdy, I want to be very clear. I feel not to the same level, but very similarly about Tua. That Tua's numbers tell me he is a great player. And I do not know that that's true. He might be, but I have real questions about how much of Tua is the system, Tyreek, and the weapons. And so when I'm doing like MVP candidates, I think it is very, very difficult, almost impossible, to have multiple league MVP candidates on the same team, on the same side of the ball. So for the Niners, their MVP candidate, in my opinion, is Christian McCaffrey. And for the Dolphins, their MVP candidate is Tyreek Hill. And if we want to make it just a quarterback award, that's fine. But then it has to go to the objectively, no doubt, great quarterbacks. And I don't believe Brock Purdy is that. We'll see. We will see. And again, people are like, so if they blow out the Eagles, that won't answer your questions? No, because that's not the question I have. My question is not, are they talented enough to blow out really good teams? We know they are. And guys, you can say I'm stubborn. I've been nothing if not consistent on this. Go ahead.
I didn't think that was fair. If they blow out the Eagles, it's not like they have the tendency, like look at their losses this year. If they blow out the Eagles, that's huge. Like that's not just something that they've just done all the time. It's the Eagles, this type of season that they're having this year. Like that's not fair.
No. I will. Oh, you can say it's unfair. Let me make sure we're understanding each other. Blowing out the Eagles would be a wildly impressive San Francisco 49ers accomplishment. Blowing out the Eagles would not necessarily answer my questions about Brock Purdy. I do not doubt that he can play almost perfect football when everything is rolling right for them. But because, and call it the scars of Jimmy Garoppolo, because I saw that exact same thing from a guy who now everyone agrees with me stinks, that I have real questions. That's it. Moving on. Next.
All right. The biggest question heading into the in-season tournament was would the players care? At this point, it's clear that they care. They're grinding hard to get the advantages of the point differential. So if the tourney is here to stay and the Lakers win the first ever one, which would be more important to LeBron's legacy, the in-season tournament win or the Mickey Mouse ring?
Okay, you didn't even want to read that question.
I wanted to say the bubble.
I know you didn't. This is where despite us doing 197 shows, the producers and I have a fundamental disagreement on what creates the best content. They are convinced that trying to irritate me with nonsense is great content. I am less convinced of that. So they are trying to have me rehash an old, stupid Twitter take of essentially the LeBron really, if you break it down, has got no rings. I forgot even the reason people discredit
That's a crazy
the first
argument.
But the second one is like Ray Allen. The third one is Kyrie. The fourth one, they put a Mickey Mouse head. They're like, really? What do you want? I don't even know. There's a way they discredit the first ring. I don't even remember what the way they do it is. But no, here is what I will say. I think the in-season tournament has been a fabulous success. People were like, it's going to be dumb. No one's going to care. The players care. And as we know, in this league, if the players care, people buy in. And I don't know if this was done naturally or if Adam Silver called in a favor to LeBron and Steph specifically, but LeBron and Steph both, from the very beginning, bought in publicly, talked about it, and Steph, someone asked Steph, like, nobody understands it. And Steph was like, well, what's there not to understand? It's very simple. Take you 30 seconds, read it, and get it. The fact that the stars bought in, and now, if we can throw that bracket back up, here is, and Doc Rivers talked about this on Simmons' podcast, here is what is going to be fascinating. And I am excited to see. Do the coaches of these teams, now that we are in single elimination, go to a playoff rotation? Do they risk Doc Rivers talked about this, right? The benefit for the coaches is, I get to kind of see how let's say you're the Pacers, and you don't have real playoff experience, and you want to see how guys respond in the moment. It's different for the Celtics or the Lakers or the Bucks who have been on deep playoff runs, you know what I mean, with those guys. How our guys respond to these moments. That's a benefit. The potential downside is, regular season game, you're going to play 10, 11 guys. Postseason elimination game, you're going to play 7. Is there a downstream effect if all of a sudden a key piece of your regular season rotation gets put on ice in these in-season tournament games? Because if that happens in the postseason and a guy's pissed, you don't really care. You're like, well, the season's ending. If you have a bad attitude, you know what I mean? We can move on from you after the year. We're trying to win. But I'll use the Lakers, for instance, even though he had a great game last night. If D'Angelo Russell were to get benched in the fourth quarter of an in-season tournament game, and then a week later, it's like, okay, we're back to our regular rotation. Does that have a negative impact? I'm interested in it. And I think you're going to see guys play big minutes. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I don't think it's right now, like in-season tournament championship won't mean anything on a resume. When you're talking about but in 20 years, if it becomes, a real thing people care about, I absolutely think it won't be anything like a championship or even a finals appearance. But I do think people will be like, oh, look, how about that? Like what? The Nuggets didn't make it this year. which is unfortunate. This is the Jamal injury. But I do think this could be a thing. Like, let's use your Celtics, for instance.
People don't want to stack them up, just like
yes.
anything else.
And let's say the Celtics win the in-season tournament, finish with the best record in basketball, and win the championship. I do think that, you know what I mean, years later, people will be like, oh, I mean, they won everything you could win that season.
Right.
And so I think that, and for a Pacers team that is a fun, good team, and Halliburton's awesome, I don't believe they can win the title this year. But they can win this tournament. And I do wonder if that is like a foundation, just like I thought the Kings last year making the playoffs, going to 7 with the Warriors was an important foundational moment. For the Kings or the Pacers, winning this tournament would feel like something. And for the Suns, who have so little experience with these guys playing together and they still don't, like, could that be a springboard? So for all those reasons, I'm excited for it. All right, next. Let's just go to the next thing.
Yeah, so there's a few other stories, and we couldn't pack them into. We're gonna pack them into the show before we get to the P block.
Yeah.
So first off, we got Mark Cuban. He's selling majority of his stake in Mavs for $3.5 billion, while still leading basketball operations. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was cleared to return to practice just ahead of his 40th birthday, and Caleb Williams said that his decision to clear for the draft is still a game time decision. Which one of these surprises you the most?
Cuban for sure. Listen, Caleb's. It doesn't matter who gets the number 1 pick. Caleb's going. He's going to the draft. There's, to me, a 0% chance he doesn't. Aaron Rodgers. I did something on TV yesterday on Rodgers that I thought was really clearly caked in heavy sarcasm. But Damonza and others were a little, I think, thrown off by it and didn't necessarily pick up on it. Some did, some didn't. I'm going to talk. I have a very strong opinion on what Aaron Rodgers is doing. It is a bit of an indictment of him. Not a bit of. It's a total indictment of him. And it's so much so that I am, because it's my opinion is, I can't prove it. It's based, I think, on a lot of circumstantial evidence, but circumstantial evidence, I'm debating internally whether I want to publicly say it. I haven't come to a conclusion on that yet. So the Rodgers thing I'm going to set aside. Maybe I'll come to a conclusion by go ahead.
People are saying Mark Cuban might be trying to run for president
here. Okay, all right, that's fine. That's not reckless speculation. That's fine. No, I was, because people were saying other concerns about this, and so I want to make sure you don't.
Oh, no. I'm done with that. No, I'm not.
So the Cuban news broke when I was doing a pod with Colin, and Colin just threw at me, he's running for president, and I didn't even think of it. Now, Lebitard's people threw out there that they think Cuban, this is the canary in the coal mine, that maybe the NBA's next TV deal isn't going to be as lucrative as people think, and so the franchise values are going to drop, so Cuban's getting out now. The problem with that line of reasoning is, why would he also be quitting Shark Tank? So I don't know. The Cuban quitting Shark Tank and selling the Mavs is, it's not nothing. It certainly surprised me, but I don't. The running for president thing, he said he's not. I like Mark Cuban a lot. I think the thing he's doing with cost plus drugs is one of the coolest things anyone could do with their money. If people, like, he basically opened his own pharmacy where he charges people exactly what the prescriptions cost him plus 10%. And it saves a lot of people hundreds of dollars a month. And for him, he's like, it's smart. He's like, it's an easy business model. Our overhead's very low. We still make a little bit of money, and it's helpful. Colin's theory was that is a great way to, garner public support, garner support with seniors who vote, all those things. I also think Mark Cuban is a super sharp guy. And in our culture, we, in my opinion, erroneously assign brilliance to wealthy people. Sometimes it's true, but oftentimes it's not. Oftentimes someone either got incredibly lucky on timing or is brilliant on a very specific thing. But it is their knowledge is a million miles deep and 2 inches wide. Cuban's not one of those people. Cuban is, I think, very sharp on a lot of things. And I do think Cuban could be, I don't know if he'd be a good president or not, but I think his vision and leadership stuff, let me put it like this. I'd listen to him with an open mind on any ideas he had or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, if we do politics just for a second, no matter how much people wish this was not the case, the next president of the United States is either going to be Joe Biden or Donald Trump. We are too close to the next election. You have an incumbent, and then you have a guy who is wildly popular amongst his party. It's going to be one of those two guys. I think there's a lot of wish casting on, could a different Republican replace Trump? No, they're not gonna beat him. Will Biden step down? No, he's not going to. And so it's going to be one of those two people, even if a lot of people wish there was a viable third option, whether your viable third option would be Gavin Newsom or Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley or Mark Cuban. In my opinion, it's going to be one of those two. And in my opinion, that is... What'd you say?
You know what I got from all that?
What's that?
Sounds like Shark Tank needs a new shark.
Oh, you think you could do it? You think you could be one of those investors?
Maybe.
Here's the thing. I think you have pretty good instincts. I think you'd actually be good in those roles. The problem is you have no money. You're about 100 million. If you need 100 million to be one of the sharks, you're about 99,998,000 short. So aside from that, I think you'd be great. Quick break, right back to our gambling show. Welcome back. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 197. Holidays are upon us. Everyone's going to start thinking about what gifts to buy their significant others. I know I already have, and I'm excited to share a great holiday gift idea with you. Lightbox. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are proudly grown from 100% renewable wind energy at the Lightbox Lab in Portland, Oregon. Not only that, but they are simply priced. Lightbox's lab-grown diamond jewelry ranges from classic studs, of-the-moment tennis bracelets, drop earrings, and so much more. More about the studs in just a moment. And you can see Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are perfect for family, friends, even yourself. Make it easy for yourself and get everyone something special with a discount we have for you. Shop now at lightboxjewelry.com and use promo code Nick Wright for 10% off site-wide. That's lightboxjewelry.com, promo code Nick Wright for 10% off site-wide. And when we say they have diamond studs, I don't know if we can put Damonza on camera, but Damonza's rocking a brand new pair of the diamond studs from our friends at Lightbox. I can't see him right now, but I hope the audience can. Damonza, you just got them a couple days ago. Your thoughts, how they feel, how they look? I haven't seen them in person yet.
Yeah, so these are them.
Yeah.
So you guys can see. I love them. I think they're the perfect size. They do the little, when the light hits them, they have that little cool aesthetic where it looks like they're dancing. Yeah, I think they'd be.
That's great.
No, seriously,
That's awesome.
They're really dope.
No.
I think they'd be a perfect gift for girlfriend, boyfriend, mom, dad,
whomever. Lightbox.com, promo code Nick Wright for 10% off site-wide. They look great on you. All right, Damonza.
Thank you, sir.
Gambling show. Let's talk last week because your guy, as promised, for the stretch run, got hot.
For the stretch run.
Yeah, I got all the data, crunched the numbers. Can we show the picks? So, oh, looky there. Look who's above 500 for the first time all year. 30, 29, 1. Now, yes, with the VIG, that means I'm down 1.9 units. I understand that, and because we're real gamblers, we include the VIG. You gotta win at least 52.5% against the spread. 30, 29, and 1 is not quite that, but to pull ourselves up out of the muck we were in to start the year, to right now, before the calendar even hits December, to be above 500, gives us a great chance at our 5th winning year in our last 6 years of doing this on television and on podcasts. So what were the winners? Green Bay plus 8.5 at Detroit. Was that a sweat? Nope. They dominated the entire game. Dallas minus 13.5 against Washington. Was that a sweat? Nope. They won by 35 points. Pittsburgh minus 1.5 at Cincinnati against Jake Browning. Was that a sweat? Absolutely not. They were up 9 late. That was a vintage, never a doubt. Even if they had given up a touchdown, they'd have won by 2. Jacksonville minus 1.5 at Houston. Bit of a sweat. Small sweat, but they covered. It was no problem. We believed in Trevor. And Cleveland plus 1.5 at Denver. I got to tell you this much right now. I know they ended up getting blown out. Dorian Thompson-Robinson got knocked out of the game on a dirty hit when it was a 2-point game. I was right there. I was right where I needed to be. Quarterback got knocked out. We'll take a 4-1, and we're going to build on that, my friends. We still don't have the highly coveted 5-0 week yet this year. I don't know that this week's going to be a 5-0, but I know it's coming at some point. So, and by the way, shout out to the Action Network and Evan Abrams for helping us with some of these stats we're going to give you. Damonza, what's the first one?
Our first one, or your first one you got here, is Houston minus 3.5 versus Denver.
Yeah, I mean, your initial reaction is, ooh, 3.5. Like that hook. That could be a painful hook. Counterpoint to that, Houston's good, Denver's not. Right now, I think Houston's going to win the game by a lot. I think Houston's going to win the game by more than a touchdown. Denver right now is surviving on something that I believe to be not sustainable, which is turnover margin. So let me give you the games they've played this year, or not this year, but the turnover situation. So on this winning streak, they have turned the ball over a total of 3 times. Credit to him, credit to Russ, not turning the ball over, not throwing picks, not fumbling like he was. They had no turnovers in their first win against Green Bay, 1 against the Chiefs, 1 against Buffalo, none against Minnesota, 1 against Cleveland. On the flip side, they have forced this many turnovers on this winning streak. 1 against Green Bay, 5 against the Chiefs, 4 against the Bills, 3 against the Vikings, 3 against the Browns. So on this 5-game winning streak, they are plus 12 in the giveaway takeaway. Forced 15, allowed 3, or committed 3. That is not going to sustain against C.J. Stroud, who one of the things he's done the best this year is take care of the football. So you have that going. You have the fact that Denver wants to play a low-scoring defensive game. You know what Houston wants to do? Air that sucker out. You add to it that the Texans this week, this isn't really a betting note, but it's just interesting. With a win this week, they hit their over for their preseason win total, which was set at 6.5. And I understand C.J. Stroud is 0-4 as a favorite. I think Denver right now is wildly overvalued. I think Denver is going to end up being a 7 or 8 win team, even as they sit here at 6-5. Denver at Houston, at the Chargers, at the Lions, their next 3. It feels like 3 straight losses. This feels to me like a 28-13 Houston win. I'm laying the 3.5, Damonza.
Oh, okay. I don't feel super strongly about. I'd stay away from this game if I were a square bettor, but I'm a sharp one. So
wait, I think you got that backwards. Go ahead. Next.
I did get it backwards.
No,
Tampa Bay minus 5.5 versus Carolina.
And evidently that line's moved to 5. So the Bucs obviously are in a bit of a tailspin. They've lost 6 of 7 after starting 3-1. That part's not good. And there is the slight concern of Carolina getting the new coach bounce. But I am here to tell you This Carolina Panthers team is painfully bad on offense. And I'm not trying to I don't take any happiness or joy or pride in Bryce's struggles.
Might not even be Bryce's fault at this point, is what it looks like.
It's not all his fault, but, and I don't want to sound like a broken record or like an old man on old NFL scout. The guy's too small. He can't see the middle of the field. He has trouble seeing over his offensive linemen. He is not accessing all parts of the field to make throws, which makes this team incredibly easy to defend. You add to it, they don't have any great receivers. You add to it, they don't have a great offensive line. And you have a team that has scored the following points this season: 10, 17, 27, shout out, 13, 24, 21. Oh, okay. The offense was okay to start the year. Since then, 15, 13, 13, 10, 10. Tampa Bay is in an absolute gotta-have-it, must-win spot. They are very alive for the division. I think Baker has played pretty decent. I think this past week he got hurt, fought through it, came back in. And this just honestly feels like a 17-10 or 21-10 Tampa win. You don't love laying 5 points with a bad team, and Tampa's a bad team, but Carolina's the worst team in football. And they just fired their coach, and your mom is here now trying to make me laugh, distracting me from this very important camp. So sometimes you get the new coach bounce. So we saw it last year. The Broncos got it temporarily after firing Hackett. The Raiders got it after firing Josh McDaniel. But that's when a coach, the Josh McDaniel thing was the players hated him. I don't think the players hated Frank Reich. I think the players, if anything, see Frank Reich not even get 11 games as the head coach and is worried. Everyone's worried. This just feels like a Tampa spot. All right, next.
Tennessee plus 1.5 versus the Colts.
All right. Listen, Mike Vrabel is a dog. I understand the Titans, prior to their recent win, had lost like 14 of 17 games. The Titans this year are 4-2 against the spread in games with a spread of 3 or less. I like Will Levis. I don't love Will Levis, but I like Will Levis. The Colts are going to be without Jonathan Taylor. I'm getting to me, the Titans and the Colts. The Colts are better at full strength, but they're not at full strength. Jonathan Taylor's gone. Tennessee's going to try to muck this up. It's a divisional game. I'm getting a home dog with the better coach. So it just checks too many boxes as far as sharp betting. Better coach, home dog, better quarterback, divisional game. Give me the points. And so Gardner Minshew, 9-11 against the spread his last 20 starts. That's not that bad, actually. But I'll take the home dog in Vrabel. And I think right now, when you look at the NFL playoff picture, this is not a sharp betting note. It's just the truth. When you look at the NFL playoff picture of both conferences, there is one thing that stands out that you're like, that's not right. The Colts are a playoff team? Of course they're not. Come on now. Of course they're not. And they're not, even though they are right now, because they're going to lose this game. Give me the Titans plus 1.5. Next.
All right, you got Philly plus 3 versus San Francisco.
Yeah, so this is very simple. I absolutely, Damonza, can see San Francisco winning this game. I absolutely could see the Niners picking apart that bad Eagles secondary if they can't get home. If they can't get a pass rush on Purdy, Purdy will probably cook in this game. I can absolutely see the Chiefs were able to run on Philly. Nobody's been able to run on Philly other than Kansas City. Christian McCaffrey's great back. I could see him running on Philly. Philly has been playing with fire the last month and a half. You know what I mean? Almost daring a team to beat them, and no one's been able to do it. So all of that is a case to take San Francisco. However, You have a 10-1 healthy team at home, and I'm getting a full field goal. That is just on gambling fundamentals. This is a must-pick Philly. It's just a blind bet. A 10-1 in the Super Bowl era. There has never been a team 10-1 or better at home with its healthy starting quarterback getting 3 points or more. It's never happened. The only times it has happened is when a team is resting starters in week 17 because they've clinched the bye, and so that's not their real team. Also, Eagles 8-2-1 against the spread this season. Jalen Hurts in his career as Eagles quarterback at home, 17-6-1. Brock Purdy is a covering machine at home. On the road, he's 4-5 against the spread. And I am not going to put a ton of money on this, but it is just the right side to be on. The Eagles get it. I thought when this game happened, I do the same thing Bill Simmons and Cousin Sal do, the guess the lines thing. I do it by myself, essentially, every Sunday night. When the Sunday night football game ends, I look at the slate, I open my gambling app, I cover up the point spreads with one hand and just look at the games and then scroll. I guess the line and scroll. I was 5.5 points off. I thought it was going to be Philly by 2.5. It was the Niners by, well, at the time I wasn't 5.5 points off because it was the Niners by 2. But now it's the Niners by 3. Philly plus 3 is a must. It's just a must. All right, next.
Yeah, Kansas City -6 at Green Bay.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win by more than a touchdown. Listen, Jordan Love, credit to, and they are on extra rest, are the Packers, so that's good for them. They're at home. That's good for them. The Chiefs started cooking again last week. The Packers are a decent team. The Chiefs understand that if they want to guarantee they get the 1 seed, they have to win out. They probably can lose a game and still get the 1 seed, but they control their own destiny by winning out. And this felt like it should be Kansas City by 7.5 or 8. It's Kansas City by 6. I'm laying less than a touchdown.
Got a gunslinger on their team, man.
Well, listen, that is true. However, and Jordan Love played great on Thanksgiving. However, we have seen high highs and some low lows from Jordan Love. I think this Chiefs defense is going to light him up. And the Detroit defense was not able to. I don't really have deep level analysis on this other than, and you guys know, I don't pick the Chiefs every week. The Chiefs actually are rarely in the picks, and they're almost never in the picks if they're a big favorite. This is a Chiefs spot. To me, this is a vintage Chiefs win. This is a 31-13 type of win. I'll lay the 6 points happily. All right, so Damonza, let's do the recap. Recap of it was Houston -3.5 at home against Denver. Tampa -5 at home against Carolina. Tennessee +1.5 at home against Indy. Philly +3 at home against San Francisco. And KC -6 at Green Bay. Go ahead, pal.
Yeah.
You want to do your teaser?
The teasers.
Your teaser.
Yeah, let's
recap.
do yeah. Let's show the recap of last week. So are we going to show the last 2 weeks? Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
We're just going to show my
Go
last
ahead.
one. Sweet.
So 2 weeks ago, you won. Yeah, Dallas,
right.
Pittsburgh, and Detroit. That was a great one. And we weren't able to do a gambling show to celebrate you. How did you build on that momentum, pal? And how did you turn this? No.
Are you serious, bro?
What?
How did you build on that momentum? So we had Green Bay +15.5 at Detroit. That was covering the entire game.
Yep.
Dallas -8.5 versus 6. Was that
6.5
versus Washington.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Seattle looked like they could have been covering there at the end of the third quarter. I want to say, but
after the pick six, you had a little hope.
Yeah,
had a little hope.
Yeah. So
all right, what are we doing this week, pal?
This week's teaser is a 3-team 7.5 point teaser at plus 105 of the odds.
Yeah.
So we're teasing Arizona up to +13 at Pittsburgh.
I like that.
And then we're teasing Detroit up to +3 at New Orleans. And then we're teasing Kansas City up to +1.5 at Green Bay. That's the teaser.
Nothing? Have you learned nothing from me?
Detroit?
Well,
Detroit,
you're
right?
just teasing through the 0 twice.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
not,
dude. The
like,
Chiefs.
what are we doing? What are we doing?
Oh,
I
trust it. I trust the Chiefs to get the win. Is this not a?
I understand, but
you're
just not getting teaser. You're not getting enough value, and you're teasing.
The only
through
thing,
the 0 on Detroit.
okay, I'm gonna make another impromptu thing because the last time I did this,
Yeah.
it actually hit, and the other one I think lost.
Yeah.
The one that I took out.
Yeah.
So I am gonna take. I'm taking Detroit out. I'm leaving Kansas City there.
Okay, thank God.
I'm taking Detroit out, and I want to put Philly in at +10.5.
I mean, San Francisco ruined you last week. You remember that, right? By blowing someone out. You do remember that San Francisco screwed you. And okay. By the way, at least that has real teaser value. That makes it better. You were going to get your first F teaser grade in weeks. Now you're to a solid C. This is a solid C teaser. The Arizona +13.
At Kansas City with a pick'em, that's kind of crazy. Like it's
But
because
it's
I'm
not
guessing that's the only
point
reason I
is-
have a C.
Well, yeah, because you're not getting. You have a team that's favored by 6, and now you're teasing them through the 0 on a 7.5 point teaser. It's just bad teaser fundamentals. But listen, what do I know? I'm
Is there
30,
not some
29,
type
and 1
of
on
like?
the year,
All
and
right,
you're
so
2 and
Daniel
10.
was just
What do
talking
I
to me
know?
about his dad going off of vibes with the bets this morning. His dad's been hitting. So it's like
that's not.
But
You want to know something?
go
It's
ahead.
also
Go
not
ahead.
solid fundamentals to go off of vibes. I'm
No,
just
all
trying
right,
to.
that was not the point that I was making. I'm just saying
go
that it's
ahead.
Kansas City playing Green Bay,
Yeah.
giving
I
them
agree.
all right, 1.5 +1.5. Let's do it. I'm locking that up. Chiefs are gonna win.
All right,
I'm
that's
not
fine.
worried about it.
All right, can I just give you a better teaser? Can I just, you know what,
Yeah.
Damonza, do 2 teasers since you like Kansas City. Just do a 2-team, 6-point teaser. The Chiefs to a pick'em, and the Jags to minus 2.5.
So you're saying the teasing through there because of the odds, like it's the bet, like
Yes,
Are you saying
you're paying exactly. You're paying a price for you're buying all 7.5 of those points. But what you're telling
wasn't
me
thinking
is
of it like that.
you only right. That's what I meant by teaser fundamentals. You're purchasing all 7.5 of those points. But with Kansas City, you're like, I don't even fucking want the last 2 of them. I just want them as a pick 'em. Well, then find a bet. So
I see what you're saying.
So it's not that it's that a losing bet. It's that you're buying something and paying a premium for it. So a teaser I like this week is a 2-team 6-point teaser. The Chiefs to a pick'em, and the Jags, who are 8.5-point favorites against Jake Browning and the Bengals, to minus 2.5. So we get through all the key numbers. We need the Chiefs to win and the Jags to win by a field goal. That's a teaser I like. I'm adding it to Damonza's card. All right, the offer this week. Go ahead, pal.
The offer this week, we are heading to college for this one because I saw a line so goofy that I had to bring it up. Oh, wait, this is the thing. Yo, so Iowa, team total for the first half against Michigan is 0.5. And it's the same for the second half. I know you don't love totals, but are you going to turn down betting on a team scoring 1? I mean, you can't.
So, listen, here's the thing. I absolutely think the under is going to hit in one of these halves. I just don't know which one. I absolutely think Michigan will shut them out for at least a half. The funniest thing about this Iowa-Michigan game is the spread versus the game total. So, Iowa-Michigan, Michigan is a 21.5-point favorite, okay? But the total for the game is 34.5. So what does that mean? They think Michigan's going to win by at least 21, but there's not going to be 35 points scored. So what Vegas is telling you is they think this is basically a 28-6 game. That's the way for Michigan to cover, and the both numbers, if they were to hit essentially on the number, they're saying it's going to be 28-6 or 28-7 is where Vegas lands on this. I do think my prediction for the game, I think, was 24-3. That's what it feels like. It feels like an under, and it feels like Iowa goes scoreless in at least one of the halves. We answer your questions next. What's right? All right, welcome back. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 197. This episode of What's Right is brought to you by the McDonald's app. I love the McDonald's app for McDelivery. I love it because it's perfect for any situation. Say it's pouring rain. You don't want to go out to get your McDouble. Boom, McDelivery. Your team's playing. You don't want to miss a second. McDelivery. Been a long day. Better way to fix that than getting a delicious double quarter pounder with cheese and a large fry delivered right to your door. I personally love to order McDelivery when I'm watching a game or spending time with my family. And now, anytime you order McDelivery in the McDonald's app, it earns you points towards free food. And everybody loves free food. So there's always a reason to order in the McDonald's app. Download the McDonald's app today at participating McDonald's. Delivery prices may be higher than at restaurants. Delivery and other fees may apply. Copyright 2023 McDonald's. All right, Damonza, let's go through a couple of these questions from the chat. Go ahead.
Isaac Wave asked, Nick, do you think the Bears are set up in a way going forward they could make a leap going forward towards similar to the Texans, depending on their quarterback-coach combo they decide?
Absolutely. Now, that's a big depending on. But if you get Caleb, you've got the most important part figured out. Now, the Texans, CJ was the most important part, but they also seem to nail the coach hire in D'Amico. That part's very, very hard. So you guys know what I have said the Bears should do, which is offer Ben Johnson, the Lions OC, buckets and buckets of money to come there and be with Caleb Williams as his head coach. It has the double impact of then, weakening the team that's going to win your division. But yeah, they have a ton of money. They have a ton of draft picks. As long as the Panthers continue to be terrible, I think the Bears are actually set up quite well. All right, next.
Samuel Gold asks, Nick, can you rank every Mahomes Chiefs season from most enjoyable to least enjoyable?
Sure. His first year as a starter, 2018, the 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, never seen anything like it. It was the first time in my lifetime the Chiefs had an amazing quarterback, and he was just so clearly immediately the best quarterback in the league. And they were so high scoring. That was the most fun. The year, I'm not talking about I'm not doing it based on how the year ended, just over the course of the season watching it. Defending the championship, 2020. A forgotten year when he had 38 touchdowns, 6 picks. He was 14-1 as a starter, as the defending champion, should have won league MVP, and that team was a game away from playing to be undefeated. It obviously ended in tragedy the way the Super Bowl went. That was the second most fun. The third most enjoyable was last year. No Tyreek, real questions. They had lost to Burrow in the playoffs because Mahomes hadn't played well, and he kicked ass and took names all year. The fourth most enjoyable would have been the 2019 season, where coming off 2018, he was exceptional. They end up obviously winning the Super Bowl. The least enjoyable was 2021, when he had the 6-week slump in the middle of the season, and it was like, what's going on with the Chiefs? So that's how I'd rank them. This one was, up to this point, is right in line with 2021, but we'll see how this year ends. All right, next.
Elliot Henry said, "Hey Nick, watching since episode 1. We appreciate you.
Thanks,
I'm going
Elliot.
to Kansas. I'm going to Kansas City in the summer. What's the number one thing I should check out there besides Arthur Bryant's?"
When you go to Arthur Bryant's, go to the Negro League Baseball Museum. It's worth half an afternoon. It's unbelievable. It's one of the coolest places in the country, in my opinion. And the history there and the exhibits, and it's interactive. It's great. And also, if you're going in the summer, go to Kauffman. It is one of the most beautiful ballparks in the country. The fountains are great. It is a great, great place to watch a game. And I mean, food-wise, yeah, it's Bryant's. There's all the barbecue places are obviously unbelievable. And Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton to do in my hometown, but it's a great place to spend a long weekend. Those would be the number one things I would say to check out. Do some shopping on the plaza. You can do all that type of stuff. All right, great show, great job, Damonza. I'll see you guys on TV. I gotta run. What's right? Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego, and Damonza's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And if you're audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that, check it out. Appreciate y'all.